greatest fear is probably dying with no one knowing of any contribution I'd ever made to creative music. But that's cool because I made it now. I'm already done. I'm so proud of that. You know, if I died tomorrow, touch wood, you know, I would still feel fulfilled in a different way.
The world is yours, and I'ma do it for all my niggas and all my haters who talking like we ain't all in and we ain't getting paper. No, I'm in my zone, and no, we never fake it. Ride for my niggas, all take. I'ma die for my city, all take. Oh, the world is crazy these days. Maybe seem kinda strange to a nigga like me. My mama told me, thank God, keep my head in the game. What's the G off in this game? Got a nigga like me. I see this shit as clear as day, even in my sleep. And so I pull out my chain, be the fresh I can be. So I hate to stay off in your lane. Now you can't do it like me. I'll be the coolest on the block. It's your boy J. This for all my shorties that be getting money. This for all my niggas that be getting money. In this generation, ain't no hesitation. Wake up in the morning, you know I be on it. Living for the moment, you know I be on it. I'm crowd surfing, ain't no denying the high performance. Fuck a hater, try to tell me how to be now. Judging me on style, vocabulary, performance, not ordinary, original. Tell the haters simmer down. Focus on this life that I'm living now. Living now.
Welcome back to the Top Cast for another episode. This is the Marvelous Studios review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 6, One World, One People, starring yours truly, the incredible T.O.P, featuring my co-host, Mr. Briyan Wryter. Welcome back, Mr. Wryter. How you doing, sir?
Peace. What up, man?
Happy belated 4th of July. I wanted to do this last week, but, I realized it's a holiday. A lot of people out at the beach, in the backyard, flipping over the beef, the hot dogs and the hamburgers, feeding the people. Kind of like what the Flag Smashers was attempting to do, which is where we start out on episode 6 from episode 5. We left off with the Flag Smashers having infiltrated the GSR meeting. And we go right into episode 6, where they have hatched their plan, their dastardly terroristic plan to try to make an impression upon the lawmakers. It's not unlike, what we see nowadays in, Technicolor in real life when we see, like, for example, a Black Lives Matter protest or, protests in general where the people are unsatisfied with the actions of the so-called government, the leadership, those in charge, and they resort sometimes to drastic measures. Is that something that you happen to notice in this opening act of episode 6?
Yeah, that's something I recognize that happens in reality too. But the one thing that really stood out to me a lot was the fact that I believe the name is Carly Morgenthau. Her and the group understood that America, just governments of power in general, and the power to be respect force. And they, you know what I'm saying? So they, I'm trying to think how I could say it. Go and finish your point, and so I can try to remember So I try to form my words correctly, man. I'm,
Well, basically, what I noticed in this opening act of episode 6 is exactly what I just said, and that is oftentimes what we see play out in real life. And you mentioned this in the previous 5 episodes that we covered, that Marvel does a very good job at, you know, putting in their media things that actually reflect what happened in real life. And so in this opening act, one of the things that I got from it is how you have the struggle depicted in this episode, how you had a struggle depicted of the haves versus the have-nots, so to speak,
true.
in Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers, as opposed to the GSR, which would be like the government, and Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers would be like the people or the grassroots. So that's what I picked up from this opening act, the very beginning of this opening act. Because in this opening act, we also introduced to the new Captain America
Mm.
when he flies in and he does battle for the first time, having taken the mantle up of Captain America. Speaking none other than Mr. Sam Wilson.
Indeed, indeed.
Interest theatrical, which is it could be just a trope, but it's a running theme with us black folks. You know, we real theatrical with things. You know, when we show up on the scene, everybody got to know. You know, so that's one of the things I picked up out of it.
Uh-huh.
But I was very interested in the suit itself and what I got from it as far as symbolism. And that is the first question I wanted to know is was it vibranium? Was it bulletproof? Because I don't think we ever got a chance to see that during this episode. Your thoughts?
I think the vibranium. I think the wings were definitely vibranium. The way they because in one of the fighting scenes when the helicopter when Sam Wilson was Captain America, when New Captain America, I'm sure to say right there, when New Captain America was on the bridge, I'm trying to save the people on helicopter that was hijacked, and and as the fight pursued on, the helicopter crashed. I think helicopter or some kind of flight flying transportation crashed into Falcon. I mean Captain America on a bridge, and he covered himself with the wings. I think vibranium is the only thing that could have withstood those that whole helicopter crashing into him. So I think the wings were made out of vibranium because we know that that Bucky, the Winter Soldier, did ask Dora Milaje if they could do him a favor with the Falcon the Falcon gear.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I believe I brought up in an earlier episode that we covered, maybe way back episode 2 or 3 or something like that, when he when Bucky first called in the favor. I had pointed out how this seems to be always seems to be a white intermediary between African people of African descent right here in America and actual Africans from the continent. You know, this is like the white guy that got to call in a favor with his African friends to help their black cousins that the white folks stole and brought over there. I just thought that was highly ironic. But
That's good.
what I found interesting about his suit is, one, I was wondering if it was made up of vibranium, you know, like how Black Panther suit is. Like, is it bulletproof? You understand what I'm saying? Not just the wings themselves. But it was the coloration of the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed is the part that was around his head and his neck was white. And what was on his shoulders was white. And anything that was of a darker hue was below that. So, me and you, we always kicking about racism, white supremacy. And I mentioned before the book Color Monitors that folks should read. But I could see these subtle messages in even in Marvel movies. But it's media period is saturated with this
Yes.
same theme or same motif. And I was wondering if you had noticed the same thing, being that we're both familiar with Mr. Fuller and Dr. Welsing's work.
That I didn't notice the actual the color scheme, um, but I did recognize there's a lot of white in the suit. And as we both know, I mean, like I understand that the whole purpose is to make the suit red, white, and blue, like the U.S. Continental flag. I mean, the U.S. banner. It's not really a flag. It's a banner. But um, but I don't know why they could have just made it more red in in tribute to the original Falcon suit, because original Falcon his suit was red. I don't know why the Falcon's not really red, but but I think that the suit could have been more red than white. But yeah, but what you pointed out as far as it being white around the face and the neck and the more prominent upper body, I didn't notice that, but that's a very good point.
And one of the reasons why I highlight that point is because if you look at John Walker's suit, it's mostly a darker colored suit over a white guy. If you look at Steve Rogers' suit, it's mostly a darker colored suit over a white guy. So you have the inverse going on with white guys than you do with Sam Wilson being a black guy. I just found that to be very interesting.
Mm.
And I won't say that I'm the only person who noticed that. I'm pretty sure that there are other people who may have noticed it, but they may not think nothing of it. But it may not be nothing to it. I could just be making it up. I don't know. During this first act, we are reintroduced to Miss Carter, Sharon Carter, Peggy Carter's niece. And if you don't know who Peggy Carter is, she's the founding member of the SSR and Shield, and she's also Captain America's love interest. If you go back and watch the first Captain America movie, um, she used some technology that if you watch all of the Marvel movies, phases 1 through 4, she used the Black Widow face technology, where she got the clear face, the clear mask on, and she could put any face on, and she approached Bucky as a man. I found that to be highly interesting because, I mean, you're a female. You shape like a female. Why would you pick to be a man? And I found that to have a sort of a feminist overtone, even though it's not a really big, significant part of the episode. And that her and Bucky, being a white man and a white woman, seem to be on equal terms,
Mm.
or have an equality between them. I don't know if you noticed that either.
Nah, I didn't. Yeah, like I mean, with me, like I mean, it's probably something there subconsciously, if not consciously, if it wasn't really done on purpose with that agenda.
Hmm.
That but when I first saw it, I just figured that maybe they wanted to just show how advanced that mask is. You know what I mean? That's my thing. That's my first thought.
Shit, I want one of them shits. 10 of them, really. Yeah, I ain't no telling what I could do with 10 of those.
Word, yep.
Um, Another thing I noticed is with the flag smashers is like me and you, and we talked about this, about the young lady who plays the character Carly Morgenthau. She appears to be a white female, but she's in fact not. In real life, she's not a white person.
Mm.
And I found it interesting that they picked her to be the leader of this rebel terroristic organization, being, because it has feminist overtones to it, to me. And something else that I also found highly interesting about the Flag Smashers is that the majority of the people that we seen that were considered to be Flag Smashers or associated with them would be considered to be non-white people based on where they're from. So you have this overtone throughout the series, with the Flag Smashers and the government, where you have non-white people fighting against essentially white folks in the form of the United States. And I was wondering if had you noticed that this theme was occurring, and if so, what are your thoughts on it?
I definitely noticed the female lead in these group of proclaimed freedom fighters or revolutionaries, as they call themselves. And as she, because in the comic book, as we discussed before, Carly Morgenthau in the comic book was named Carl Morgenthau. Carl Morgenthau was the Flag Smasher, and it wasn't a group. It was just one man. So the fact that they made her a woman and made her almost a racially ambiguous woman, and she was a leader of a multiracial, band of a multiracial band of revolutionaries. I thought that was very interesting. I thought that it was they're trying to be inclusive, and trying to mirror what what's going on in society now with maybe the Black Lives Matter movement and the whole thing that happened after George Floyd in America and across the globe with the uprisings around the world. But definitely that the whole woman empowerment thing definitely was pushed in this whole Flag Smashers movement.
Yeah, and to just to continue on that theme and jump a little far ahead in the episode, I also found it very interesting that this racially ambiguous woman was in league or was working with a white woman in the form of Sharon Carter. So that too would speak to the feminist overtones taking place in this particular episode and in the series itself. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Yeah, and also like you pointed out about how Bucky, the Winter Soldier, was somehow the liaison between Wakanda and Falcon getting an advanced suit. It shows how, and how Neely Fuller Jr. always talks about, there's always a white male, white woman, in particular racist white male, racist white woman, or just somebody white, period, or white organization that's behind the scenes, that's funding, that's that's driving, that's directing an organization against another organization. Because Neely Fuller Jr. always talks about white supremacists have been known to help both sides of a war, covertly or overtly.
Exactly.
So I thought that. Yeah. So even now, so even then, it's always some evil, corrupt, seemingly psychopathic person behind the scenes, moving covertly, directing people, who may have good intentions, but overall, those good intentions are tainted because the person driving that group or that person has ulterior motives that necessarily aren't in favor of that group or that mission, i.e., Flag Smashers.
Okay, and to finish up with Act One, what we go on to see is the Flag Smashers carrying out their plan, which is to kidnap the members of the GRC to try to sway them, to come to an understanding of, the real dynamics of what's happening. Because to give folks some context, um, in Infinity War and Endgame, we came to the conclusion of the first four phases of the Marvel saga, where the character Thanos had essentially eradicated half of the human population. And in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which takes place about 6 months after that event, after the Avengers brought everybody back in Endgame, and it has now created a problem in the world because all of a sudden you have people reappearing after 5 years. So, you know, other people may have taken up residence in their homes, and the world is essentially changed. And this is Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers issue with the government, and per usual, the government is doing what it thinks is best without actually consulting with the people that it's affecting. And this is the cause of the tension that we find the Flag Smashers having with the GRC, which is essentially representative of like a global governmental agency. Um, but what ends up happening is the Flag Smashers, they kidnap 2 truckloads of the GRC, and they get into a fight with uh with Bucky first, the Winter Soldier, and we are reintroduced to none other than the defamed former Captain America in the form of John Walker, because he's got a score to settle, especially now since he's a super soldier. Um, I heard a lot of folks saying on the internet that he was kind of getting beat down by the Flag Smashers during this part of the episode, but I went back and watched it again, and he looked like he was handling himself pretty well, even though he had that fake shield. Um, this was a really good action part in this episode, and I just wanted to get your take on it because uh, you have essentially uh, 2 white guys fighting non-white people for on the behalf of an organization that's fundamentally represented by white people in the form of the GSR. What were your thoughts about this particular part of the episode, if any?
The only part that stood out to me was the fact that they definitely try to make I don't say it like that. I definitely can appreciate the fact that they made John Walker take stance of avenging his partner's friend Lamar Hoskins, who was a black man. That's the one part that stood out to me. That was his driving force behind really going in to settle that score. That it was a black man that he was fighting, he was trying to avenge. On top of the fact of his original mission to stop the Flag Smashers altogether. But I thought it was interesting that they put the Lamar, that they definitely made sure that they had him voice. He was avenging like Lamar Hoskins, and he said like Lamar Hoskins' life didn't matter. Those words right there made me think of Black Lives Matter.
I thought the exact same thing, and I'm glad that I'm glad to know that great minds think alike. But please continue.
Yeah, I mean that's really about it, man. Oh yeah, as far as him getting his ass beat, I didn't see that. And if that happened, I think that would be kind of off because Bucky the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, they had a hard time beating him up. You know what I'm saying? In episode 3, I think it was. No, I mean episode 4. I forgot which one. But when the episode where they faced off, Bucky, Winter Soldier, and Falcon fought John Walker, they had a hard time. You know.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, I just want to point out about that fight scene between Bucky, John Walker, and Sam Wilson is that they had to break his arm in order to beat him.
Exactly.
And that's a carryover motif from Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Mm.
Remember when they was on the helicarrier and he had to break Bucky's arm in order to beat him to go put the chip in there?
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Marvel has a habit of carrying over motifs like that.
Yeah, but yeah, if that I can't remember the whole entire fight scene, whatever. But like, I don't think that. But I didn't get the feeling. But I didn't get the impression that John Walker was getting ass beat, whatever. He's fighting like 4 motherfuckers. 4 people. But so of course it's gonna be hard. It'll be harder for him. But I don't know. But that did happen. It's kind of foul because he is a trained soldier. On top of that, he has the serum in him.
If you would, I would really appreciate it if you could just stand up a little bit so folks could get a look at the t-shirt game, because your t-shirt game is on fire, and I think folks will get a kick out of that, especially if they into Marvel, because that's hot right there. I really like that myself.
Yeah. Online, I had to get it, man.
We end up this first act with none other than the black man coming to rescue white folks after John Walker, a white man, was basically unable to save them, because he did try to redeem himself by saving them, and ultimately was prevented from doing so. And we end up seeing Falcon come, the only one who isn't a super soldier, by the way. And he has his suit and his wings and his extra little red wing, and he pushes the vehicle with the GSR people back up to safety. And after that, we go into the power broker reveal, because everybody stops fighting at this point and disbands. You got the Flag Smashers running away because their mission has failed. And this is where it's revealed that Sharon Carter is in fact the power broker, and that she's been spying on Carly Morgenthau the whole time through Batroc, the Leaper, who she subsequently kills when he threatens to blackmail her. I always found that term blackmail interesting. It's a very racist term to me. But anyway, again, I encounter these feminist overtones in this particular part of the episode, where you got 2 women, one woman who just eliminated a man who probably could kick her butt, but she just eliminated him with his own creation, mind you, the gun. And she's having a conversation with her basically her cohort in the form of Carly Morgenthau. And to me, this screams of feminism, because here you have come into the knowledge that you have a white woman and a racially ambiguous woman who appears to be a white woman working together. It is not unlike how feminism operates in America. Did you notice that in that particular part of the episode, or did you get that from that?
Like I said, I recognize that the whole female empowerment agenda being played out in this series, with the power broker being Sharon Carter. That's her name, right? Sharon Carter, not Peggy. Not because Peggy was her mother.
Yeah, Peggy was her aunt, and Sharon Carter is the blonde haired girl that's been revealed to be the power broker.
Yeah, because like I said before, the power broker was a man. His name, and the power broker name was Curtis Jackson, which I said before, it'd be dope if they had 50 Cent played this Curtis Jackson on as a power broker. I think that would have been dope. But and because he had the show called Power, and he had Robert Greene, who wrote 40 Laws of Power, co-write his book, The 50 of Law. So it would have been dope if they had Curtis Jackson, the rapper, play the power broker in this. But which don't come true. But anyway, yeah. So the fact that they had Sharon Carter to be the power broker, and had Carly Morgenthau, who was originally a man in the comic book, Carl Morgenthau. It just goes along with the whole female empowerment agenda that we see that's being played out in society now. And you know what I mean, with the whole feminist agenda type situation, whatever. I mean, you got a lot of feminists that talk about female power, girl power, and this, that, third, whatever. But I've noticed that in reality, a lot of girls don't get along with each other. And
women are very, very cutthroat, more so than men are, and more so than what men generally think.
Exactly, and we see that be played out in this exchange with them, the backstabbing, the and the deceit, and you said like let's say like you said, being cutthroat.
Exactly. Not only that, but to summarize this part of the episode, what invariably ends up happening is a white woman in the form of Sharon Carter. Not only does she kill Batroc, a man, she ends up killing Carly Morgenthau also, only to be invariably saved by her friend, the black guy. Who's now Captain America, by the way. So, she also had ties to Steve Rogers when he was Captain America, and now she has ties to Sam Wilson, who's the second iteration of Captain America. And we'll get into the mid-credit scene more towards the end. But I found that to be highly, highly interesting, because with this feminism thing, what's essentially happening is, because white men have made such a bad name for themselves throughout the world, you now have women being put, in front or up front, and we all know, because of the way the system is currently structured, the woman who's going to be ultimately put all the way to the front are white women. And you see this embodied in Sharon Carter, because she does let us know, just like she, when she says to Carly Morgenthau, I got all kinds of power. All you have is a super soldier serum, but you got that from me. So I'm gonna be all right. but take these missiles. 3 of them, as a matter of fact, which I also thought was significant. But yeah, did you pick up on that also at all?
No, like the fact that she was able to move and as she, maintain power and move with power is very is very true to life. You know what I'm saying? And she did it she's doing it in a covert way, as we see how governments do all the time. They're always doing things behind our back. They're always having covert missions. They always have ulterior motives, ulterior agendas, and they maintain their power through secrecy. Yeah, and as far as the and the woman empowerment movement, yeah, this definitely it definitely plays a part in viewers' minds, I think, and influences their minds as far as further pushing the idea that a woman can run things efficiently. I say efficiently in quotations. I'll say that like that.
Yeah, I know that's right. I'd also like to point out that what we also what I also picked up from this scene is you have Sam Wilson, a black man, fighting a racially ambiguous woman, and they are on an equal footing because he's now the new Captain America. He doesn't have any serum or anything, but he does have this fresh suit from Wakanda and a vibranium shield, so he can protect himself to some degree. Um, Fighting with Carly Morgenthau, and what that reminded me of is the bickering or the arguing back and forth I see between black men and black women, particularly online. We don't pay attention to the Sharon Carters, as much as we should. Did you happen to pick up on that?
No, that's a good point, man. That's a very good point. I did, but I can expound on it a little bit more about the point you made. That's a very good point. Like I said, like in comparison to black males and black females going back and forth about the male female dynamic online, and comparing that to what's going on, what happened in that scene. I think a lot of times I know things that I pay attention to that I see a lot is black males trying to reason with black females, trying to show them just a better way on how to go about things, to try to bring them up to reason, while the black female, for some crazy reason, think they can beat us up, are more combative toward us and try to fight us and wanting to fight, as we saw Carly Morgenthau begging Sam Wilson to fight her.
Yeah, they might need to get their hands on some of that Marvel Super Soldier serum to have a chance. But after Sam Wilson, goes on his save a hole mission because he saved both of them chicks. Even though Carly Morgenthau died, she got shot 3 times to die. He still saved her because he took her out to the ambulance, to the paramedics, and he did the same for Sharon Carter. And I found that ironic, that even though this woman was just trying to kill you essentially because she could, she could literally, she killed Lamar Hoskins with one punch. She could kill Sam Wilson with one punch. So, after she just tried to kill you, you're still trying to save her, which is what a lot of guys do. And then you have this white woman over here that's super powerful, and she really doesn't need your help because she doesn't need a man, but you save her too because she's your friend. I found that to be highly, highly ironic. And then he goes into an Obama moment, and he tries to explain to the GSR people, the senators or what have you, whatever they were, how they should stop looking at things from their point of view and look at things from the point of view of the grassroots people in the form of the flag smashers, so that you don't have this problem later on down the road. I found that to be in parallel with what actually happens in society. The only difference is in regular society that is encouraged to happen. Mr. Fuller speaks about it all the time. It's confusion. And it's part and parcel of the system. It's how the system continues. If you don't have that confusion, then the system as we know it cannot be. And I find that as black men, very much like Sam Wilson did in this episode, we have a tendency to want to pontificate and try to absolve the races of their wrongdoings and try to rationalize with them, not unlike we try to do with black women, without the understanding that as long as they're winning, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing to win. And we always seem to try to always want to appeal to the humanity of these folks when they don't even consider us to be human. And this is some of what I took from Sam Wilson's famous first Captain America speech. Do you have any opinion about that? Did anything that you noticed or took from it?
Um, I do like the fact that he did in during his speech, whatever he he was talking to the group of people. I think one was Indian. I'm not sure what the other what the male was. What the guy you talking to with the white man? Or was he something else? I can't remember what he was.
Well, until otherwise told, I'm going to take that he appeared to be a white man, so I'm going to take him as that.
Okay. Um, and I'm not sure if he knew he was being recorded. Okay. Um, but as far as that speech being had, period, I do like the fact that certain points in there, certain points that Sam Wilson character made in that speech, to me were relevant. Like I said before, like me spoke before about how he mentioned the fact that when y'all are in these rooms making these decisions, are the people that your decisions are affecting in the room with you, and we all know though typically the people who's being affected by people in power, the people in power, the decision makers don't have the people next to them or counseling them that's going to be affected by the decisions, whatever. They're not in the same rooms with them. And the fact that the man he was talking to tried to tell him how he doesn't understand something, and he had to come back with him and says, "Look, I'm a black man wearing the stars and stripes. What don't I understand?"
A lot, but continue.
Um, 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 um. So yeah, I mean, like I see, I sort of Sam Wilson trying, trying to reason with them, and he let it be known that, like I said, like I was trying to say in the beginning of the broadcast, that the one thing that I do like that Marvel did with Carly Morgenthau was they had her embody the ideology of these people don't respect reasoning and talking to and stuff like that. They respect power. They respect violence and bloodshed. And if you they respect the deprivation of their money and bloodshed. And I like that Carly Morgenthau's the Flag Smashers. Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers embodied that ideology. They only respect this, so that's what we're going to do. And I'm glad that the Falcon or the new Captain America pointed that out to those the GCR,
The GRC or something like that.
GRC. I'm very glad that he pointed that out to him. That you don't want to see a Carly Morgenthau 2.0. So until we stop, as collective, stop bullshitting, the best thing we can do is reason. Like Nelly Fuller Jr. says, until we get in positions of power and really deal with people in power in a way that they can understand. The best thing we can do is reason with them. Like Nelly Fuller Jr. talks about.
Yeah, I would also like to point out that while Sam Wilson was giving this speech, we cut to Mr. Bradley.
Yes, sir.
And he gets the opportunity to actually see on television Sam Wilson making this speech with which gave me the impression that he was impressed, at least to some point, that Mr. Wilson stood up and was making the speech. But something that I would like to point out that I've come to notice is, for example, online we hear a lot of Black content creators speak about how Black women assist white supremacy.
Mm.
And what I noticed is that in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam is not only a black man, but he's also military personnel.
Mm.
Not only is he military personnel, but he's also taken up the mantle of Captain America. So now you are a representative, not unlike Mr. Obama. You're not representing a system of your creation
Mm.
or a just system at all. You're a representative of the system of white supremacy.
Mm.
And I noticed that a lot of guys that are in the military or that are police officers, they will be very quick to point out how black women help out white supremacy, but they don't see themselves doing the very same thing in just those two occupations,
Mm.
for example. And I noticed that very same thing in this series with Sam Wilson, in that he has the very same attitude that a lot of these gentlemen have, that I fought for this country. And so therefore, I'm not going to let all my hard work go to waste. But what they don't understand is, one, you're fighting on behalf of a system that has you, that does not have your best interests at heart. And so you're not going out to fight for yourself. You're fighting on behalf of someone else's thing. And so why should you be celebrated for such a thing? Why should you be respected for such a thing?
Mm.
And that's another thing that I took from this particular part of the episode, and this message that I got from this episode and this series in general. What I see is that we have a tendency to think that because we work in the service of white folks that we are deserving of some of what they have.
Mm.
And you hear it when you hear guys say, well, I fought for this country. Yeah, well, you also know that this is a country that doesn't like you and seeks to destroy you via different means of genocide. So to say that you went and fought for this country is to say what exactly? And that's another message that I took from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But it's also something that I've been thinking about a lot recently,
Mm.
because I hear a lot of guys harp on, well, black women are helping white supremacy by doing this or by doing that, but guys don't see it in themselves. They
Mm.
don't see how they also are helping the system. And I think that, so if you're not going to be what was depicted in The Spook Who Sat by the Door by Mr. Sam Greenlee, then you have absolutely no business in the military or in the police, because you're not going to change the system from the inside. It literally has to be destroyed and dismantled and replaced. And I think a lot of us have that false ideology that we're going to change the system from inside without taking into consideration that there are already things built into the system to prevent that from happening. And I noticed that in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm.
And we see this, or we get some semblance of this after our introduction to Sam Wilson as the new Captain America, when he actually goes back and has another chat or another meeting with Mr. Isaiah Bradley,
Mm.
who lets him know, I understand what you're saying, but from my point of view, it's still not right and exact.
Mm.
And Sam has to acknowledge, that from Mr. Bradley's point of view, he understands why his point of view is what it is.
Mm.
Did you happen to pick up on any of that, or what are your thoughts about this part of the episode?
I think I'm very glad that they that dynamic was depicted. Um, uh, I don't. It's like you dropped. It's like you dropped there, man. But I just still focus on the Isaiah Bradley and Sam Wilson interaction. Um, And I definitely respect both their perspectives. Because, like I said, until we, as collective, get serious about toppling white supremacy, I think we all individually must do what we feel or what we believe we need to do to push an agenda of Black empowerment, or how we see Black empowerment. And I remember a part where Chance Sam Wilson was talking to someone, maybe a sister or not. What, it wasn't sister. I guess it was Isaiah Bradley. About, I mean, we hear, and it's how to say this, whatever. It's almost like a thing. Like, I understand. Like, for me, how to say this, whatever. To win a war, to me, I believe you should, a better way, the best way, is to do it overtly and covertly. To infiltrate the system and have your forces on the outside trying to destroy it as well.
I agree with you. I agree with you. What I will say, what I find is, in most cases, that those of us who seek to, who are even conscious enough to seek to want to do something about the system from the inside, invariably get corrupted, and it makes them not dependable. And the fuller are no point now where our only recourse is to be for each of us to be an army of one.
Indeed.
And it's because the system has prepared itself, probably been prepared for us to, quote unquote, come together. So that's why I have the stance that I have in regards to trying to destroy the system from the inside out. Following Mr. Wilson's famous speech, we cut to our man Zemo, who through his butler, who kind of reminds me of Alfred from Batman, but a little more dangerous. He gets rid of the rest of the Flag Smashers in a classic car bomb on some mafia type shit. I just thought that it was an honorable mention. It just shows how a white man, even from prison, can get shit done. I thought that was significant, and that is something that was noteworthy. And then immediately after that, we cut to our first meeting of the Contessa, who we also met in the post-credit scene in Black Widow. For those of you who've seen it, you already know. For those of you who haven't, sorry for the spoiler, but it is what it is. I think she's an interesting character, the Contessa. We spoke about her, the Contessa, aka Madam Hydra. But what I wanted to point out about this particular scene is John Walker's conversion from Captain America. He's already been had his dishonorable discharge already from killing the bludgeoning the Flag Smasher with the Captain America shield way back in episode, what was it, 5, I think.
I think so.
4 or 5, and his new metamorphosis into the U.S. agent. And what I found significant about it is, here you have a white man dressed in all black. It kind of reminds me of Batman. It kind of reminds me of the judge in the courtroom. I always find it highly significant and suspect when you see white folks dressing up in all black, because it actually, the color black is very, very significant, because it's a color of power and authority. And I find it ironic that white folks dress up in black, but they don't respect black people. And yeah, to me it reminds me of like a Batman type thing where you got a white guy dressing up as a black thing to do more dastardly things. Did you pick up on that? Your thoughts about the Contessa, the fact that John Walker has a non-white girlfriend and or wife, and the new coloration of his U.S. agent uniform.
Nah, I mean, it always stood out to me from the comic book, you know, the black suit with the American flag on it. It always stood out to me. I do notice that when they you know, I know in the comic book the U.S. agent was more of a lapdog for United States versus Captain America was more about justice and equality and freedom, stuff like that. While the U.S. agent was more so a soldier for whatever the agenda of America. What was the go boy, if you will, for
Black Ops? Could you say Black Ops considering he had a black suit?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah. That's probably better. It's more of a black ops type of guy. I mean, because he was agent, whatever, and you know what I mean. For whoever's running U.S. and whatever the U.S.'s agenda is at that moment, he is the embodiment of that. He carries out their agendas. Versus Captain America, you know, as we saw in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we saw Captain America, you know what I mean, go on the run because he didn't vibe with how SHIELD and everything was going on, in invasion of privacy and dismantling of the Constitution for the freedoms, you know, of America and stuff like that. So yeah, it is interesting that they don black when you have them be the embodiment of those kind of activities.
And after that, we cut back to Bucky. He's on a mission of making amends, and he's made amends with everybody except for the older Asian gentleman whose son we found out he killed way back in like episode 2, I think it was, or episode 1. And it's just a small scene, but I wanted to point out the fact that we know that this guy is an accomplished and capable assassin. Even though he was under mind control, it still doesn't take away from the fact of his actions. But I found it interesting because you always have the psycho crazy killer white man having to come back and make amends and apologize for his past actions, but you don't actually ever get any reparations, quote unquote reparations for it. You just get an apology, and you're just supposed to, keep going. And then he further adds insult to injury to me when he actually looks through the window and is checking up on this guy. Did you pick up on that? Any thoughts about that scene at all?
Maybe that's a expression of white guilt, you know. And it's I don't know where I can go with that. To me, that was a play on you know, just the like whole white guilt type thing, whatever, showing some kind of form of humanity to non-black people, to non-white people, to try to show that they aren't as psychopathic as everyone says they are or depicts them to be when it comes to injustice and everything like that they are blamed for across the world. So that's really what I saw. That's really what I took from that. It was more so an illustration of white guilt and them showing, I guess, some kind of expressing some kind of, I don't know, sympathy and trying to make amends for the wrongdoing. You know.
Yeah, indeed. And after this scene, we spoke on it previously, but this is when we cut to the Sam Wilson and Isaiah Bradley conversation, and we covered the beginning part of it, but I wanted to save this part for the end, and that's when he asked Mr. Bradley to join him because he wanted to take him to show him something,
Mm-hmm.
and they ended up going to the same museum where the Captain America exhibit is, so that Sam Wilson could show Mr. Bradley that he is now included as part of that exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it to be very patronizing because after you've experimented on this man and then incarcerate him for 30 years, you could patronize him by just recognizing him, not repaying him for the damages that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very analogous to our situation as Black people in this country, is that we often are patronized with tokens and never is our situation repaired by the people who created it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that this was very significant because, again, it speaks to your comment being that Marvel does a really good job of representing what's happening in the actual society in their content.
Yeah.
Did you happen to pick up on this in this point of at this point in the episode? And what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah. And I mean, I do appreciate the tribute that Sam Wilson. It took a Black man in position of power and used his leverage to at least bring up to force the government or whatever he had to do to bring this to the forefront. And as far as the repair for what they did, it would have been dope if they did show they gave Isaiah Bradley some form of reparations, because he was living in the hood in Baltimore in that house. You know what I mean? Then, you know what I mean? So it could have, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, gave some form of reparations for that instead of just showing a tear-jerking scene of him showing that you are recognized for what you are, for what you did, and what they did to you. Assuming that they put that in the museum, how he was in prison wrongfully and stuff like that, for him doing honorable things like trying to save his group in the war. But yeah, that's very but like you said, I'm glad you pointed, you brought that up too, about how, yes, I do believe Marvel does an excellent job in depicting what's going on in real life in their content, and this was a good example, because there was no mention of reparations. There was no visual of any reparations. It was just a heart-wrenching, like heartfelt moment of them recognizing, okay, like it almost reminded me of when Nearly Fuller Jr. talks about how Black people have an issue with show-offism. We want to be seen. We want to be recognized.
And also we have a bad habit of apologizing, and identifying with races when they do terroristic things to us. Like in the form of Mr. Bradley, for example. Again, his situation wasn't repaired. He was just recognizing for having done the things that he done. But he like you pointed out, he still is living in the same dilapidated situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever been to Baltimore, Maryland before, but I have. It's a very dangerous place.
Yep.
And for those of y'all who want some kind of context, go back and watch the HBO series The Wire, because it's damn near a one-for-one accurate depiction of what life in Baltimore was, at least during the time of the filming of that series.
Mm-hmm.
To summarize and finish up here, after all we spoke on, we get to another trope of Black people, and that is the celebration, the nigga cookout. And you know, we gotta have our best white friend there. Got to. It's just not complete unless they show up and show out. Mr. Fuller also speaks on this, and that is, if you was to put our situation in analogy, like the analogy of a football game, we are losing terribly as a group of people. And every time we score a first down, we tend to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we score a touchdown, we tend to celebrate. Yet the game is not over. And I picked that up out of this ending set of scenes in episode number 6. You know, the celebration after, you know, Falcon got a new job. He's now the new Captain America. You know, the whole hood want to celebrate and have a cookout. You know how we do. That's what I got from this closing out of the episode. Did you happen to pick up on that? What were your thoughts about it in particular?
You know, I saw them try to. I mean, as far as them, they ended it on a positive note. You know what I mean? But the main thing I did recognize that made me think about a little things going on that's been going on for maybe the past year that Black people have been saying online is when it comes to like you said, your favorite white person, the white person who can dance good or can rap good or whatever, just our favorite white person at the moment. We have a thing called not me, but some Black people. Well, too many Black people have a thing. What he says, you're invited to the cookout, and Bucky was invited to the cookout. That's the only thing that crossed my mind in this closing scene of the series. That whole invited, he's invited to the cookout thing, which you know, it's still proof that we got a lot of work to do as a people. And like Nelly Fuller Jr. says, Black people too often are serious about silly shit.
Very serious about not being very serious, and I've said the same thing. Salute to the Blacknificent elder, the Dr. Kamal Kambon from right here in North Carolina. I just want, before we get out of here, I want to deal with the mid-credit scene because I found it to be significant also, and it's because Sam Wilson actually carried out his promise to Sharon Carter, and that is he was going to help her get a pardon. Unbeknownst to him, she's the power broker, so he just basically gave a criminal license to be a criminal. And I found it interesting that it was a white woman. Any thoughts on the mid-credit scene of this last episode before we get out of here? And if you can, go ahead and give us your summary of the episode in the series.
That part kind of remind me of just Black people not doing our homework. You know, we have good intentions. I see Sam Wilson as a man having good intentions, and him just honoring his word and seeing her as a friend. I'm pretty sure if he knew that if he knew that she was who she was, he wouldn't have done that. But it just kind of remind me how too often black people historically have done things like that. Like I'm gonna say, um, Martin Luther King kind of bigged up Gandhi, and I don't think he would have bigged him up if he knew that Gandhi was a pedophile and a racist himself. And by MLK doing that, he bigged up Gandhi, and a lot of people, especially black people, whatever, bigged up Gandhi because they looked up to Martin Luther King. Also, how they say how Africans and back in Africa allowed Europeans to come in to the continent and do business and take prisoners of war and into slavery, and that opened the door for a whole lot of other fuckery. But I don't think, and I've had talks on college campuses with professors and stuff like that who believe that if the Africans knew, and they said like Queen Nzinga and knew when she found out, she stopped doing business with the Europeans as far as the slave trade. But I think if these black people, these Africans back then knew the kind of enslavement that was going on in America when the Europeans took us, they wouldn't have done what they did.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
I just want to interject in here right quick, because of what you're speaking on. There's a book called Daughters of the Trade, and I hear a lot of black guys on the internet reference that book to point out how black women have historically had some sort of disdain towards us as black men. But what I would like the question I would like to pose in reference to that book is, let's just take for granted that the contents within it are true. And let's disregard the fact that it was presented to us by white folks. Let's just say that is true. My question, or the question that arises in my mind, is if black women were fraternizing and marrying white men, what exactly were the black African men doing while they were doing that? Because even though we have documentation that black women were interracially married with white men and participated in the slave trade, I'm pretty certain there wasn't groups of black women going around in Africa catching slaves or having or taking prisoners as a result of a war. I'm pretty sure that was done by African men. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because a lot of black guys, instead of dealing with the ultimate problem, which is the system, they take the coward way out, and they blame it all on black women. And I even just put up a post on my Instagram of a comment that Shahrazad Ali made in reference to her book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. And the comment that she made is that she wrote the book to highlight what black women have been through as a result of slavery, but it's more so to put the black man on notice for what he has allowed to happen. Because as men, the onus is always going to be on us. And I find that a lot of us, particularly those of us on the internet, we do a lot of finger pointing, finger waving, and victim blaming black women without being genuine about the overall context of the situation that we in. And this is why I mentioned earlier that when black guys point out that black women participate or cooperate with the system, I mean, BGS said it best himself. Everybody in this society cooperates. Well, if that's true, then that means black men cooperate with white supremacy as much as black women do. So therefore, we don't have a leg to stand on to complain about what they're doing. If that makes any sense to you.
there's a lot of gray area in that, man. I prefer the word. I'm not sure if it's a big difference, but I think it's a word. It's more so a word of we submit to white supremacy rather than we cooperate with it. Like
No, so I would argue that they are at least synonymous to some degree. Submit, cooperate. You know,
Like I won't say acquiesce, but I don't have this definition in front of me. But it's more so of a thing that it's almost like the Matrix, the movie The Matrix. Everyone is born in the system, and unless you're unplugged from the Matrix, no matter what you do, you're fueling the Matrix.
if you don't understand the system of racism, what it is and how it works, everything that you think you understand will only confuse you.
Indeed.
Shout out to Mr. Fuller. I didn't mean to cut you off, but please go ahead and continue your thought before we get out of here.
But I will say that it's a lot, man. God damn. No matter what we do in this society, whether we do so-called good or do bad, we all contribute in some form or fashion to white supremacy. Whether you work for the post office, whether you work as a plumber, whether you're a cop, whether you're intentionally trying to put a man on child support to harm him financially.
Or if you're a nigga running around the hood shooting other niggas.
Indeed. It all contributes to the system because the system has covered every area to make use of everyone and everything in it.
I'm glad that you pointed that out because that's essentially what I basically was trying to communicate in what I say is and that with me and you we understand.
Yeah.
You know, we are students of Mr. Fuller and Dr. Wilson, so we understand that. You know, even though we wake up in our bed every day and we have the appearance that we're free, this is very much like an analog of the Matrix. You're not really free.
Behind enemy line. And I believe that the some of the brothers that you speak about that strictly blame black women, I think they come from a space of blaming them for intentionally doing harm to black men, while the ones who may go to work and go to jobs like that, whatever, they're trying to do the right thing.
I recall a scene I seen in Django Unchained when you had Leonardo DiCaprio sitting on the couch watching the two black guys fight each other to death. And you would think that the one black guy would say, well, this is not in my best interest. It's not in our best interest because here we are destroying each other for the pleasure of this white man. And I think that we, as black people, we fail to understand that. And that this conversation, this argument that black men are having with black women distracts them from paying attention to the source of the problem. But nonetheless, I want to thank you again for coming through and joining me on another episode covering the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is the last episode number 6. Next week, I would like to invite you, same time, same place, for another on code conversation. And I'm seeing if I can't get another gentleman to join us because he's on code also. Because I like having those conversations. There's not many of us that, not many folks that I can have that kind of a conversation with. But if you will, please plug your social media right quick so we can get out of here.
You're welcome, man. And thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it. My Instagram is Briyan OG Thriver. Briyan _OG Thriver on Instagram. And that's about it, man.
And I want to thank all the folks who came through to catch the live show. All of those of you who are going to catch the playback. Make sure you catch the previous 5 episodes covering the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is episode number 6, One World, One People. with yours truly, the incredible T.O.P. and Brian OG Thriver, aka Mr. Briyan Wryter, with the fire t-shirt gang, and he got see, I'm a Transformers man myself, but yeah, I get a kick out of Transformers. But you can catch me on Instagram. I got 2 pages, the incredible T.O.P and the Top Cast Instagram page. You can also catch episodes of the Top Cast while you're at work, you're at the gym, or you're just driving around on Anchor Podcast or your favorite podcast outlet. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, please do so. Bring a friend and tell your aunties I said, I'll see you later. Until next week, folks, thanks for joining us. We'll take you out with my man Jay Geezer one more time. Thanks again, Brian.
Welcome, man. Peace.
Peace.